You go, isn't that Moonraker? Yeah, MI6 top guy wrote it. It's about the elite releasing bioweapons to kill 100% of the population. They then come back down from their space station. It won't be done like that. It's going to be from bunkers, and they have the cure. And I'm just telling you, we're trying to stop them. If there's awareness to this and we can get people to tune out of Breaking Bad, I get it's a good show, or House of Cards, or the NFL draft for 5 minutes. But a lot of adults go, Alex, I know you're right. I talk to executives and people. They go, I'm just going to go play golf and have a good time. There's nothing we can do. I've hung out with top microbiologists. I've hung out with just, you name it. They all know it's true. And then I sit here with the public, and the public just won't wrap their mind around it. All right, Paul Watson, I've put out my brainstorm as best I can. You've got the floor for the next 5-10 minutes. Crystallize where you think we are. Add other points to this. And then how do we warn the public? How do we warn the elite? I see one Achilles heel. That's why they want to go to total automation, drones, robots, autonomous systems, so that the human factor can't stop them, because they've told their minions that they're just going to control population and get rid of the dumb people. And they're using dumbed-down culture just to stun us right now so they can do the operation. And then they're going to take us out of deep freeze and try to, have a new renaissance. That's what they tell high-level people that aren't in the upper chamber. I think if we can reach out to them, we might be able to stop this. The problem is we reach out to them, they go research it, decompartmentalize, they bug out and run to New Zealand. Or, run to another area. And kind of just try to run where the big boys already built secret landing strips and command bases that, again, the Guardian and others have reported on. Which the elite ought to know. You collapse this, you're not going to get everybody. People are going to come after you. You got to know you're not going to pull this Moonraker business off. It's just... I just wonder if viewers and listeners understand this isn't a joke, people. I can't go play golf. I can't go skeet shooting. I can't do any of the things I like to do because I just can't quit thinking about this. But then I just get burnt out and exhausted. And then I just want to run as well and just let you all kill yourselves and wear dresses while you're being bioweaponed. Paul Watson, I've been ranting. You go ahead.
Yeah, well, I made a video about this a few weeks ago called Why More Riots Are Coming Soon, which breaks a lot of it down. And basically, they've created the preconditions for this because they know down to a fine detail that wealth inequality causes mass social unrest in alliance with a drop in real wages. So they've built this whole consumer society around obtaining products and items. Family, social mobility, religion, that's all declining in influence. So we have these lifestyles built around the acquisition of products, which is going to become harder and harder to maintain. And when you actually study the causes of the London riots, for example, it was this feeling of increased corruption and distrust in the established authorities, which we've now got in America to the greatest degree we've seen ever, probably, social alienation, and a lack of community, which of course causes this criminal behavior, which we saw during the London riots. So as this lifestyle built around the acquisition of products becomes harder to maintain, you're going to see more unrest, more riots. And they know that's going to happen because they've created the preconditions for it. We're now at the worst level since before World War II in terms of wealth inequality, precisely because of their Keynesian central bank policies, this endless money printing, worldwide inflation, real inflation in comparison to real wages, which are dropping. So they know that that's all going to coalesce and come together. And we're already seeing it. We've seen it in Ferguson. We've seen it in Baltimore. They have also known and had control of social media uprisings since at least 2010. We talked about that before Bilderberg 2013 because they actually had the big, Google meeting in that same hotel the year before, whereby they can go in and judge when these uprisings are going to take place, whether they're steered or organic, and immediately hijack them. So if you get a Tunisian fruit seller moment in any area of the world, they know when that's going to snap, when the flash mobs are going to descend, and they can steer and control that narrative and huge groups of people. And they've had that capacity since at least 2010, not just with Twitter, but with other social media. So, that, of course, that all arose out of Brzezinski's, I think it was also 2010, this global political awakening, which he said basically represented a direct threat to their monopoly of power.
And he said it's just easier to kill people now. We're not going to wake them up. We basically have to kill them. That was his barely veiled threat. And just to interrupt, take the head of the Soros group, not telling anybody he's Soros group and nobody in the news pointing it out, coming out at Davos and saying we have to have a global government to redistribute wealth because there's too many rich people, when they're the ultra-rich waging war against the new rich who actually hire people and run jobs, and then they create the crisis and offer the solution, giving them more power when they exempt themselves publicly from the taxes. It's totally sick. And then he says Soros is worried about riots when he's the one financing them. I mean, it's just incredible how transparent they are when you know what enemies they are.
Yeah, and don't forget, Soros himself came out in 2012, it was 2.5 years before Ferguson, and said that these mass riots, this uprising was coming. Then he starts financing Black Lives Matter to the tune of however many hundreds of millions of dollars. The good news is, yesterday, this Black Lives Matter crowd tried to descend on Charleston Saturday and Sunday to stir up violence and unrest in response to this lone gunman shooting, which was blamed on all white people by Salon and the left-wing media.
And
but
Hillary.
The people of Charleston, there were a few war memorials that were vandalized, but they basically told them to get the hell out of town. There was, in fact, it was even trending on Twitter yesterday, "Go home, D-Ray." D-Ray is one of the leaders of this Black Lives Matter movement.
And the black folks, the Christians in Charleston, they were tweeting, all lives matter.
Yeah, and they were doing peaceful prayer vigils and saying, look, we're not going to let you burn down our town and our businesses like you did in Ferguson and Baltimore. Get back on your buses and go home. So that completely blew up in their face. So that's the positive. I think we are starting to get through to people that this whole class warfare narrative is being steered. It's not an organic uprising. It's being controlled from above.
It's the ultra-rich that want to scapegoat the nouveau riche and the middle class as the elite to take those people out that are historically the only opposition to tyranny.
Yeah, it's class warfare. It's race warfare. If and when Hillary gets in, it will be gender warfare. Any means possible to divide us against each other while the elite move to their ivory towers and replace all the jobs with robots.
And they've openly said, as you know, Paul, the elite are quite public about this. They believe we have a right to be warned, but then they'll separately, when we warn people, they'll say it doesn't exist.
No, if you read Foreign Affairs, a publication of the CFR, it was in there again this month. I read it before Bilderberg about how all the jobs were going to be replaced by robots and it's going to cause massive riots. They know that's going to happen, but it's just going along full steam. So they openly talk about it in their own publications, knowing that everyone's distracted with Caitlyn Jenner and the Kardashians and everything, and that's how they get away with it.
And that's why we hijack Caitlyn Jenner crap, or whatever her name is so we can reach into people in the Matrix and try to get in there with topics they understand and then hopefully get them to pay attention to real issues. I want to come back and tell folks about the new satire video, Paul, that you've put out that's on Infowars.com and PrisonPlanet.com. Let's just say this, you're a hideous-looking woman, but it's a good stunt you've pulled to wake up these victims. We'll be back. I'm Alex Jones, Infowars.com. We are back live here, my friends. Peter Schiff, major fund manager, is going to be joining us to talk about the economy and world events. Coming up in the second hour, Jakari Jackson will pop in briefly in the third hour from Charleston, South Carolina, with the firsthand breakdown on folks there basically trying to stir up a crisis and it failing. But briefly, if you haven't stocked up on Survival Shield Nascent Iodine X2, that is the good halogen and blocks out the bad halogen in the thyroid and other glands, we know with the crises that are coming, it's now more important than ever to get prepared, and iodine is one of the most important things to store, not just to use daily or weekly. Consult your physician. The government is buying tens of millions of dosages of iodine every few months. You can just Google government buying potassium iodide. You'll see it all over the news. Last year, the government bought more than 14 million dosages alone. 90+% of reactors are already leaking. Also, we have the new Liver Shield with a whole bunch of known herbs concentrated organically to help flush out the liver. You can do that daily or do the advanced cleanse. We finally got the informational video posted at InfoWarsLife.com if you want to check that out. And your purchase of Oxy Powder, Liver Shield, high-quality colloidal silver, lung cleanse, DNA Force, oil of oregano, you name it, all the highest quality, all organic, helps fund this operation and our entire media system that's trying to stop the globalist takeover. So please shop with the good guys. We appreciate your support. You've helped do this so we can have reporters now pretty much constantly in Europe, in the U.S., in Canada, covering events on the scene as we build a true independent media organization. InfoWarsLife.com or 888-253-3139. InfoWarsStore.com is the blanket site with just all the high-quality non-GMO seeds, the high-quality water filters discounted, the books, the videos, the Patriot apparel, the shortwave radios, incredible portable cook stoves, whatever the highest quality, best-selling, highest reviewed survival systems are, we have them at super low prices. Life Straw, cook stoves, storable foods, whatever the best is, we have it at the lowest price, InfoWarsStore.com. All right, we only got a few minutes to break. Paul, the video's up on Infowars.com. Satire, the truth about trans everything. I'm going to keep you 5 minutes the next hour ahead of shift, but it's hideous. I haven't watched the video. It just went live about 20 minutes ago. What on earth is this?
It's basically an oppressed social justice warrior who is sharing his trans odyssey in an effort to overcome bigotry and hatred. So, of course, his hero or his heroine is Rachel Dolezal, who came out a couple of weeks ago. This is a white woman who had 4 centuries worth of white ancestors, who has pretended to be African American for her entire life, you know, preventing actual African Americans from getting job and educational opportunities. And 71% of MSNBC viewers said it was okay to be transracial. Transracial. So this is the level of insanity that this has got.
What if I'm trans canine? I mean, what if I decide I'm a slug and then they have to take care of me? Or
trans species, exactly.
Maybe a table. Trans canine.
Exactly. And of course, transabled. That's another one who's in there. Of course, this is the movement that wants to hack off their limbs because it's trendy. They're trying to say that this is not a mental illness.
I think taxpayers, hey, we got to pay for guys to cut their wee-wees off. Why not have to pay to have people's arms and legs cut off? I think that's reasonable. Or their heads. Now, how about,
thank you for listening to GCN.
How about trans dead?
Visit GCN.
What if I think I'm a zombie? Today. I have a right to run around biting people. Well, wrote the most powerful form of a lie is the omission. Well, we just tell it like it is and let the chips fall where they may. Here's Paul Watson's new satire character. It's up on Infowars.com. The truth about trans everything.
Hey, y'all. My name is Mangina, and I'm a gender-fluid, two-spirit, transracial, Muslim atheist, otherkin feminist, anti-racist, social justice warrior. And I want to reveal to you my trans odyssey and how I've overcome hatred and bigotry to truly embrace who I really am. On Mondays, I identify as cisgender white male. This is so I can lecture everyone on Twitter about how they need to check their white privilege and their sexist, patriarchal, racist rhetoric. Some people say I do this because I am a white knight and because I can't get pussy. These people hate women. And in my perfect world, their misogyny would not be tolerated. On Tuesdays, I identify as transracial, just like my heroine, Rachel Dolezal.